very clear. They don't deserve 20 points taken off them. They don't deserve to be relegated necessarily. It needs to be done within the bylaws that the RFL has laid out. I'm not saying a special exception needs to be made.
Right, okay.
And that we shouldn't just, let Marwan Kukesh get away with it. He needs to be
suitably
due process
punished, yeah.
needs to be gone through, is what I'm saying.
Okay. So the next big story. Let's get passionate about the next story.
Exactly. Okay, Leeds Centurions halfback Ryan Brearley will officially leave the club in 4 weeks after handing in his notice last Monday. The 23-year-old, who scored 37 tries in 33 appearances for the Centurions in 2015, had an agreement enabling him to leave the Championship club if head coach Paul Rowley ever left. The clause emerged after Rowley resigned last month, but owner Derek Beaumont insisted at the time that the player would not be leaving. Lee have since suspended Brearley from availability for selection pending an investigation into the leaking of confidential information. It is extremely concerning to again see confidential and sensitive information surrounding Leeds Centurions appearing in the public domain, particularly when it continually centres on Ryan Brearley, Lee said today in a statement. On Tuesday, the 1st of March 2016, Leeds Centurions head coach Neil Jukes informed club owner, I was hoping you were going to get me to read this out, informed club owner Derek Beaumont that he had spoken to Ryan Brearley to ascertain his reasons for purporting to invoke the alleged clause, given he had continually stated privately and in public that he was committed to Leeds Centurions until the end of 2016 and wanted to achieve Super League with the club. Derek was informed by Neil that Ryan Brearley stated that another Championship club, named by Ryan Brearley as the Bradford Bulls, had made him a lucrative offer until the end of the season, and that he would be then a free agent. However, should his contract be increased by £15,000, he would consider staying. There's a lot to this.
Yeah.
Not least of all the hilarious, I heard from such and such whose gardener told me that the window cleaner had said this. It's all just a bit convoluted, I think. There's more going on behind the scenes at Leeds Centurions, and this is a symptom of a deeper problem for me.
Well,
Lee.
What's his name? Rowley's dad? Alan Rowley.
Yeah, he was a very active member of the board.
Resigned from his position as chairman of the club.
Yeah, after how many years involved with Leeds Centurions?
I'm not sure. He says it's ahead of his 65th birthday next month.
Yeah.
But obviously this is all tied in.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of backbiting. I mean, didn't Neil Jukes challenge Ryan Brearley to go on Jeremy Kyle over the lie detector test?
I think he was just standing up from... There's been a lot of he said, she said, I know you are, you said you are, but what am I?
There's no neutral position in this from the people who've talked about it.
Yeah.
So you've seen either stuff from the Brearley family on Twitter, or you've seen stuff from Jukes or Bowman or the club on press releases.
Yeah.
There's no one who's turned around and said, actually, what's going on is this.
No.
My theory is that Brearley is leaving next year anyway, going to Leeds for 2017.
Yeah.
And Beaumont saw his arse with Brearley because of that, and told Rowley to drop him. We don't need him, we've got Rangy Chase, drop him. So Rowley said, no, I'm not doing that, I'm out.
Yeah.
So then Brearley said, well, if he's going, I'm going.
Yeah.
Because I can play the rest of this year somewhere else, make just as much money or not, if not more than what you're giving me.
Yeah.
And screw you over if you're going to be like that with me.
Yeah.
And it's all got a bit... This is just a theory. Total speculation, which we don't normally like to do, but hey, let's have fun with this one. That's kind of what the way I'm seeing things go.
I'm inclined to agree with you on that. There's other factors involved with the stuff that's going on at Lee as well, with the change of coach and the reasons behind why Paul Rowley left, but also the continued absence of Rangy Chase from the side as well, who is still out with, depending on which source from the club you believe, either the flu or a leg injury and this, that and the other. So there's the whole influx of these disruptive Salford players to take into account as well, and I wonder how much of an impact that's had on life at Leeds Centurions as well, and how much of this was a Paul Rowley decision and how much of it was a Derek Beaumont decision to bring in some of these players, these potentially quite divisive players. So it seems to me that there's been some kind of schism at Leeds Centurions, and then this is the fallout of it. From my point of view, obviously as a Bulls fan, if he did end up wearing a Bull shirt, I'd be delighted, but I don't see it personally. I think he probably got Huddersfield. So
there is a need there. There's also potentially a need at Hull FC with Price Price's knee not being up to scratch.
True. But does Ryan, if he's upset with Leeds Centurions, think, what a great way to stick the finger up at Derek Beaumont, play a season for Bradford Bulls and not get up?
Well, he certainly didn't play...
We can afford it. We aren't spending anywhere near the cap.
He certainly didn't play like a player who wasn't committed when he played against you guys. Didn't he score a couple of tries?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good game. He's a professional.
Yeah, but then this comes out the Monday after.
Yeah.
You were telling me Bradford have released a statement to deny sort of any illegal approach.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the other side of it, is that Bradford's name had been brought into it, and the silence from Bradford so far had been deafening. But they did release a brief statement this evening, just from Steve Ferris, who's like our head recruitment, chief operating guy.
Is he managing director or something?
Yeah, something in there. And he basically said, yes, we've met with Ryan Brealey's agent, but it's because there's Bulls players that have the same agent, and we haven't made an approach for him, but obviously we would have asked him to tell us if Ryan was available. The end. Really short and to the point. So, yeah, it's nice to see.
So what do you think's gone on then?
I think it will start. I think that...
Let's get involved in the soap opera that is the
okay, so here's my thinking. They didn't get promoted and they absolutely tanked it in the 8s last year, which led Derek Beaumont to question whether or not what they had in place and what they were building at League was going to be sufficient to get them up in the Super League in the time frame that he wanted to. He therefore went out and bought, after this disruptive core of the Salford side, and different guys in who, you know, on big money and things like that, and then dropped them into that team unit, and that's had a disruptive effect on the overall team mentality at Leigh. Paul Rowley probably won't have been involved in these decisions because at the end of the day he doesn't pull the purse strings, Derek Beaumont does, and I think that's caused friction between a very successful, very gifted coach and a man who, for all his mistakes and all his pantomime villainy, actually does love Leeds Centurions Rugby Club. That love is just sometimes misplaced in his endeavours and things, and he doesn't help himself by being this kind of Phoenix Knights caricature of himself and what have you. But he's invested a lot of money in the club, so he's almost bought the right to do that. And I don't know, but that's where the tensions come from.
Well, it's an internal conflict anyway with the idea, for just one man, the idea to be a fan but also an owner.
Yeah.
Is a tough balance to strike, and not many do that successfully. And
that's where the temptation, I think, to invest heavily in the Leeds Centurions squad for this season came from. That's where you get like the bravado of we'll go all season unbeaten and all this stuff, because and look, on paper it's a really, really strong side. But the game isn't played on paper, and to get someone to amalgamate all these different characters, and you've got to understand that some of these guys are coming into positions where 3 doesn't go into 2. So yeah, you've signed Rangi Chase, but you've got Martin Rigid and Ryan Brealey, who are fantastic halfbacks.
Yeah.
Someone's nose out of them 3 is getting put out of place, and I'm certain Rangi Chase comes in and thinks he's cock of the walk, and if he's not immediately, wearing that number 6 jersey or whatever, then does that cause friction? Then there's obviously the off-field bits and pieces that come with some of the other guys that they've signed in, like Corey Patterson and stuff like that.
But also some of the guys that they already had. I mean, there was the Penkovic issue last year with the drug ban. There was the Barlow's up on that assault charge.
They already had enough psychopaths. They didn't need more. If anything, they could have done with getting rid of a few. And they did. We've taken Haggerty and Walker off their hands. And those 2 lads aren't shy about going forward. So they did have a fair few nutters to try and wrangle around. But I think what's happened is that in short, the owner has basically tried to buy a team and then tell the coach who to pick. Rowley said, that's not the sort of guy I am, that's not how I want it. I pick the team, and if you don't like it, I'm going to quit. He said, fine, quit. So he has. And then I think Brealey, who's obviously going to spend a lot of his formative years under the wing of Paul Rowley as well, considering how young he is, and that he's come up at Leigh and he's been kept loyal and he's been nurtured there, probably does feel some sort of sense of loyalty that he doesn't necessarily feel towards Derek Beaumont and Neil Dukes, and that's where this is starting to come from as well.
So that's us speculating completely and entirely on the Leeds Centurion situation.
There you go.
What happened over at Hull KR then?
Hull KR this week have appointed James Webster as head coach until the end of the season, with Willie Poaching as his assistant. They say they've also identified Chris Chester's long-term successor for 2017. A former Robins halfback, Webster has been in charge of the City of Hull Academy. Hull KR chairman Neil Hudgell said, "We are delighted to welcome James back to the club. He's been around this place on and off since 2005. He's popular here and he knows what the club is about. He's a smart coach with great technical skills who cut his teeth last year in Super League in quite trying circumstances. We believe James has all the qualities needed to kickstart some life into our season and also begin to implement plans for 2017 and beyond, when he will become an integral part of the back room working under our new head coach." So
Tim Griffiths got in touch, he's a Hull KR fan. He said, so it's Webster for a year until Mac Banana then. I'm not enthused if I'm honest. Presumably with Webster we're not bothering till the £1 million game then. Better look at holidays now. And Brian Davies, who's a Wakefield fan, so obviously knows Webster's strengths as a coach well, says Webster looks like a good appointment. We'll do a decent job this year until the proper coach rocks up for 2017.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems it's the sort of, it just doesn't enthuse you for this season though, does it?
No.
That's the problem. If you're a Hull KR fan,
does it address any of the problems he's had? Is Webster known for sorting patchy defensive performances? Is he known for making a pack tough up? Is he known for...
Look, bringing in James Webster doesn't immediately mean that Terry Campese's knee works again or anything like the injury problems are going to get solved. It doesn't matter who you put in charge there. If your personnel are all sick notes who spend periods of time and have historically spent periods of time in the physio room, you could put bloody Tim Sheens in charge or whoever. That's not necessarily the thing. The bigger
that, though, is he going to improve the things that are the problems outside of injuries? Everyone's got fucking injuries. No one can fucking cry about injuries. Everyone's got them. I'm sick of fucking injuries.
You're just upset. You're just upset.
I'm sick of it being an excuse.
No, I'm not making it an excuse.
That a team like Hull KR think they can make. They were shit last year in the league. And they've been shit this year in the league.
I think last year in the league...
They weren't winning. They weren't top of the table when Campese and Kelly were fit. They beat Wigan and they beat St Helens on their own on the home patch, but...
They were a team that played an exciting brand of rugby and you would enjoy watching them, whereas this year they're much more of an easy beat, I would say. They're definitely worse this year than they were last year under Chris Chester, I would say. But no, I don't think James Webster plugs the gap at all. And if it is McNamara, then why is he not... Okay, fine, then wait a year until McNamara comes in, but it seems odd to wait a year for Steve McNamara. Could be worse. Maybe Franny Cummins' contract at Leeds Carnegie doesn't run out until 2017, and that's who they're bringing in. So just be careful, Tim G, what you wish for, because it could be worse.
All the money is on McNamara, isn't it? If there's any bookie left letting you put a bet on, which I don't think there is.
Yeah. Mick Potter's been out of a job for a year or so now. He might have been a good shout.
Yeah.
I like Mick Potter.
Yeah, he's proven. He's got a better track record than James Webster or what's his face?
Chris Chester. McNamara. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, a statement has been released this week by the North Wales Crusaders, revealing that directors have met with players to discuss severe cuts to the playing budget. The Crusaders players are now considering the proposition and are to decide on their future in the coming days. The move has been made as part of a restructure of the club to bring its expenditure back in line with revenue, pay off historic debt and to create a more attractive proposition to potential investors. Stephen Wild confirmed on his own personal Twitter account on Thursday that he had left the club.
Yeah, a few other names, less notable ones maybe, have dipped out as well since, and all the players are basically free agents. They're on pay-as-you-play contracts, and they can go elsewhere if they choose, if they can find something more secure for them long term. It's a sad story for... It
is sad, but it also sounds like the people in charge at North Wales are trying to cut their cloth accordingly rather than see the club go out of existence. Yeah. And maybe that's responsible.
Andy Barden, the Electric Gigolo, said, looks like money owed to pay off all debts for the crew. Looks like the Celtic Crusaders all over again. Hopefully it won't fall that far, and like you say, they're taking proactive measures rather than pulling the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah. I mean, if they can
they've realised that they can't afford to keep it going.
No.
At the level of expenditure they've planned, so they've told people that.
Yeah, and investors are going to come in if it's a balanced going concern, not if it's saddled with debt and living beyond its means. So, yeah, absolutely. Okay, Sydney Roosters have suspended scrum half Mitchell Pearce for 8 NRL games after he was filmed committing a lewd act with a dog. Pearce, who's 26, was also fined 125,000 Australian dollars or £3.50, of which £65,000. I won't be glib, of which 50,000 Australian dollars were suspended for 2 years. The sanction, which will mean Pearce can return against the Newcastle Knights in the last week of April, was agreed upon by the Roosters and the NRL. Now this has been decided, I can get on with my rehab and work each day on making the right choices, Pearce said. Good.
I think it's a suitable level of, but I think I would have got the New South Wales Rugby League to throw in, and Andy's not available for Origin selection this year, maybe, to, hammer home the punishment.
Absolutely so, yeah.
That to me would have been that cake fully iced and served and eaten tastefully.
Fair enough, very good. Any more food-based words you want to throw in there?
I don't know why I feel so hungry all of a sudden.
Scrumptious. Okay, right. Hull KR forward George Lawler has signed a new 4-year deal. Lawler, who's 20, has